Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society, and nothing here is ever to be construed as hate, medical, nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the RealPublicRadio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week on the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network. Somewhere out there, it's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Stand by for the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, and still time to call your friends. We'll be right back.
The missing dimension in world politics is the spiritual dimension. The problems of life cannot be solved by material means. Modern civilization is missing the point of life. Human life is meant for understanding spiritual values. Real knowledge is knowing yourself, what you are, what God is, and understanding your relationship and duty to God. It is our duty to understand God, abide by His laws, and learn to love Him. Then all of our problems will be solved. When men are not governed by God, they will be ruled by tyrants. The material world is just like a prison. The spirit soul is imprisoned in a material body which is imprisoned in the material world. We do not belong in this material world. We are spirit souls and belong to the spiritual world. Modern civilization is wrongly directed to the fulfillment of sense gratification, the basis of material life and a barrier to spiritual realization. The demonic believe that the enjoyment of the senses is the ultimate goal of life. However, it is not possible to become peaceful and happy in the attempt to gratify the temporary senses. The result is usually the opposite. A materialistic culture based on sense gratification agitates the mind and senses. Unless one controls the mind and senses, one cannot make any spiritual advancement. The great sages of all bona fide religions were completely free of material attachments because they knew that spirit is permanent while matter is temporary. Our present culture would have us debase ourselves and become more and more entangled in materialism, so that the path to the spiritual world is blocked. The demonic wish to make this planet a closed system where it cannot function for the purpose it was intended. The material world was created to give man the opportunity to purify himself of his material consciousness, for the aim of life is to go back home, back to God. The demonic cannot go back home until they rid themselves of their demonic mentality, and so they wish to make it impossible for anyone else to return home. This is the ultimate goal of psychological warfare, to entangle man in materialism so that he cannot return home back to the Supreme Lord. Mind control in America. Break it.
All right, and welcome to Forbidden History Live, the series on Ask Dezert-Owl, the original thought transliteration project, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, good to have you. Good to see some old friends and some new friends at the same time. And Maria from Jersey out there in the Channel Islands, welcome. And she's been bringing on some good questions. She brought on the big one, the right one, and we've been doing it for two programs now. Slight follow-up left with that. We're going to read from the Pearl, the Hymn of the Pearl, and find out what that pearl is, and um, and a whole lot more, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the out the gate. We're going to do an update on the flood of Noah from that was initiated by Damien, and then I'm going to just show how the alphabet is basically has no beginning, has no end. It's really fantastic once you see this. I only saw it about 2 or 3 weeks ago for the first time. I got it while I was still laying in bed, trying to wake up, and then there it was. You think because you're thinking about word forms, and then all of a sudden, well, wait, I'm connecting the ending with the beginning of the alphabet, and when you bring them together, it creates a word, that has to do with sovereignty, basically, and being saved at the same time. So it's really powerful. It shows the great handiwork of our of the great Spirit, our great Father, and yeah, it's really really amazing. And let's see, what else do I have? Well, I've got another read from the Aquarian Gospel, and also Gaskell on the feathered serpent. And then if we can get to a Fenton, I'm still working myself into this. I almost talked myself out of not doing the program tonight, or did I talk myself into doing it? I can't remember now. But isolated in your own prison over here with a bunch of people that have it in for you, gang stalking and everything. You don't, I'm like, I don't go out, and I don't have any friends here locally that visit, and so it's like being in a prison, and only it's worse because in prison, you get to socialize. Here, I this is my only social activity, or with Ninja. That's basically it, and so I'm from the old school. I know too much. The young guys think they're going to figure it all out, and but it's by I couldn't even figure all this stuff out. It's by the grace of the Heavenly Father, because He's a revealer, and so it's about surrendering. That's rendering the soul rendering the soul, and seeking for the light that shines, and for the guidance, because in this great mystery, the one who made all things and makes all things has been behind every shoulder, looking over their shoulders at every little scheme and every little game that's ever been played on us. And so he knows the whole thread, and so he can reveal it at any time. There, as it says in the scripture, there's nothing unknown that cannot be known. There's nothing done in secret that cannot be revealed. I have the just of late been able to present how George Washington is really King George III. I the things that I've learned over the time of years were not even things I would have considered, and now I know them in a more deeper way. So the journey, of learning and knowing is powerful. The problem is that many people don't have the time, or the resources, or the withal, how to find, get on the right trail, and or have a mountain experience like I did all that. And so that's why the Heavenly Father has given me this type of a download and led me down this trail. And it's not because I was worthy of it, or I was smarter than somebody, but it's because he had to give somebody a download, so that they could then pass it on to the other people that are good, wonderful, decent people that need help in unraveling the great mystery that we have right here on planet Earth. That is, what are we going to do with our state? Because there's two of us. We are spirit, and then we are, um, or are we not? Maybe we're not flesh and blood. You see, maybe that's the automobile, right? But so it's called a symbiotic relationship. There's two of us, and one has to die to this world so that the other can live. You see, and so they were even in the movie Stargate in the series. They were telling it, with the guy Tilk, that big African guy. He had what was called the symbiote right in his belly, and if it came out, he would die. So the symbiote, there's the word symbiotic, right? And he had a symbiotic relationship with the serpent, and that's exactly what we have, because our body is our serpent. Shirt, pants. You put on shirt, pants, shirt, pen. You're putting on the serpent every single day, and nobody ever told you other than me right here. I'm sure of it. Unless you could figure out that clothing line George with the small G on the back is a cobra. That small G, you can look at it, it's a cobra. You can see it now that I pointed it out. And they're just having fun with you, say put on your cobra suit, your George underwear, and yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, the talking about underwear, then come to find out just here of late when I was doing the King James stuff, that the word hey, and the root form hain, um, just like Hanes underwear, has to do is the word hatred. Hain is hatred. Hay is hatred. Hate. You see? And so they put it right on our underwear because they hate us. They hate our seed. Those wonderful um, perpetual warmongers. The warlocks that print all the funny and then have a real party waging war on mankind on both sides. They control all sides. So we're in quite a world, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, come on, somebody, please. I want to get off this ride, this merry-go-round. I'm sure it's going to be real soon. It can't be much longer with the way things are going. The end of the year, it'd be total chaos. Now there's outbreaks going on. They brought in all these foreigners from, you know, um, south of the border, and all kinds of, now people are getting exposed to, the breathing, the lung disease. What's that called? Uh, t- um, not typhoid, but there's another one. Anyway, we're getting these old things that we had were free from here in America. Everything made sanitary, and now we're bringing in health conditions from other parts of the world and I mean other parts way around the world, all from everywhere coming in and ruining uh, what we had, and it's all, of course, by design and plan. It's part of the game, you know. And it's the same one they played throughout history. Nothing new. They did it to Europe also, and still doing it to Europe. And yeah, and they give subsidies to the other, to the foreigners who come in to have as many babies as they can, and free everything. So the idea is to take down the Aryan culture, basically, like we see it clearly in Scandinavia, and so they got a plan. Yeah, the we're diminishing as a people, but it's okay. It don't matter because that's only race anyway, and there's no better race than any other. But the point is, we're all going to be out of here anyway, because there's not going to be any food, and they're going underground. They already know this, so everything is like a staged event just for further diversion. They got to keep us diverted, keep us sensationalized, keep us worrying, keep looking at the drama, because then you're not going to be looking at the right hand. You're going to be looking at the left hand, and the right hand is saying that um, there's a world genocide program that's on board right now, and they're whittling everyone down through different events with the weather warfare. And I hope you watch Dane Wigington. Every Saturday I do. I haven't missed Dane in years. I've been following him for 15 years. Geoengineeringwatch.org. I guess you might as well put that up right now. Ninja will get that out of the way. Dane Wigington. You can find his YouTube channel, Dane Wigington, okay, on YouTube, and then his regular website will be on that graphic she'll be putting up. Okay. I didn't hear anybody whispering in my ear. Thank you. Okay. And so anyway, with all that said, and we're going to do Dane, and then we'll bring on the flood. We'll do a fine. I just wanted to a couple points. I did the review today because we're doing quality control, and Ninja's working out some new routines as well on her OBS to give us a better broadcast. But I got about 3 points on the flood that I failed to mention, so we'll bring that on, and then we're going to do the follow up on what's with this word God, and and which we started last Friday, and then did another part two on Monday yesterday, and then I just want to final point, and after I read the hymn of the pearl, though I'm going to read that because what we're talking about is at that point the journey that Yeshua took when he came to earth. And Dane is having a problem, is he? Well, I don't have any Dane up on my end here. You're talking about a graphic. I'm talking about you didn't put the graphic up. Oh, well, when we do talk about them, we do both at the same time. That's okay. We'll bypass it this time. I was okay. I was waiting for. Well, all right. So anyway, then after that, you can put up the flood, okay? Because that's what we're going to talk about next. And right, she's upside down from me. That's the problem. Okay, she's down there and I'm up here, and so little tongue in cheek. You know what I mean? That Ninja's going to bed when I'm getting up, and I'm getting up when she's going to bed, and it's like a juggling act just to get together and coordinate this stuff. So, but anyway, okay. So we're going to the middle, the Mediterranean again. The meta for middle terrain. Sea, the sea in the middle of the terrain, Mediterranean Sea. That was my tip off right there. The word was what got me to realize that what are they saying? The sea in the middle of the land. Yeah, there, right there. There's the flood. Whoa. And then I started connecting with the Greek mythology, the bars of Hercules over there at the right at the Atlantic Ocean where it rushes through at 2 miles straight, and then you know what, Ninja, I'm going to have to do this on my end because I need to use my pointer. I was going to actually be able to point, and now I realize that was a blunder because I can't. So let me we're going to go to screen share, and then I'll pull it up. Yeah. That way it helps everybody because there's no markings on the on that thing. So let me go here. And yeah, we're the Real Public Radio, ladies and gentlemen, but we do get the job done on a song, a wing, and a prayer. And screen share. Okay, there we go. Boom and boom. Okay, and now let me get it. I've already got it opened up. Oh, geez, it always does that when you got a screen share. You can't get to your tray. So here we go. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. There we go. So visual, good. Visual. All right. Very good. Okay. So here's the Bering Strait where I was talking about, where Africa and Europe pulled apart and the Atlantic Ocean rushed in. In one of the lost writings in the Old Testament pseudepigrapha, which is a 2-volume set, um, and I don't remember what book it was in, but probably Ezra, one of the other books of Ezra, and it said that the flood rushed in like a woman um, breaking her water, at the point of having a baby, and so there you can appreciate that's what that channel would be like a woman breaking, and of course we're talking Mother Earth here, the woman breaking forth her water, and then the water just breaches right in. And so can you imagine the surge on this thing? This is what I'm leading up to, actually. The surge for 4,000 miles, the Atlantic Ocean, like I said, the state of New Jersey, that where I grew up, came on the map because it used to be underwater, except for the mountains. We have a mountain range there in New Jersey called the Watchung Mountains, and they would have been islands. But now um, with the okay, thank you. And so the flood, look at the volume of water. Just imagine, right? That like they say, Lake Tahoe. Give you an idea, right? Lake Tahoe. Most of you have seen the picture of Lake Tahoe. It's like the second biggest freshwater lake in the world up in the mountains of California near Nevada. And they said that if you took the slice the level of the water or spread the water over California, it would cover California by 10 inches, right? The whole Lake Tahoe. And if you took Lake Tahoe and spread it over Texas, it would be 8 inches. The water would be 8 inches deep. You see, so think about how you slice it with that volume, right? Because you got the depth as well, and so it's not just surface, but it's deep also. So and it's super deep. It's like maybe a mile deep. So it's a very small lake, but it's deep. You know, it's a big lake, but I mean what I'm saying. So anyway, my point is that the volume that it took to fill up this basin, which had the Nile River flowing down into it, probably had waterfalls down there. This would have been a paradise, and all the African animals could migrate into Europe, and vice versa. The animals in Europe could go down into that part, and there was a lush jungle in what is the Sahara today, because it was once the water came in, it changed the atmosphere. It changed the conditions for weather and for precipitation, wind, uh, temperature. Everything changed with this flood coming in. But when this surged, and this surge kept building up and flowing in, you can imagine, if you saw what happened in Japan, how it was rubble. The surge was nothing but mud and rubble pushing rock and everything in its path. And so imagine this surge continuing, and then finally right there where it's I think that's Cyprus, right? The island right near the end is Cyprus, and it's got a little eye, you see, and you can imagine that surge pushing, and then it ends up on both sides of the island, and that's why it's got that pointer. It's got that little pointer on the island that juts pointing to the northeast, and then actually it's in cut in right there as well. But because of that surge, and as a result, Noah's Ark ended up 100 miles inland, right somewhere over here in the face of the the mountains of Ararat, in the face of it, not on the mountain, but below the mountain, in the valley below, high and up in high altitude though, high rolling hills, and so right over here, so that's 100 miles, that the ark was pushed all the way over here, and then they had to walk back to Jerusalem over here, straight down south, but over here, right, like right here where I'm making the circle with my hand, is Gobekli Tepe, and they want you to believe that over 100 circles that were built in the ground with these rock cut monuments, they want you to actually think that they decided they were going to bury with baskets, that all the people were going to get baskets of dirt and rock, and they were going to fill all of the round rotundras in Gobekli Tepe, over 100 of them, maybe a couple hundred, and bury the whole thing under rubble, right? Come on, give me a break. Nobody gets it, or they do, they really do, because like I told you, they told David Attenborough, don't you dare talk about this Mediterranean flood again, boy, because we don't want people getting the picture, because they don't want you to know that when the Mediterranean surged over the land, it buried Gobekli Tepe perfectly, so that nobody ever saw it again until 5,000 years later. Okay, so that's part of the story that nobody is including. Let me see what my notes say now. Okay, well, one more interesting footnote here. Another thing is that while Noah. Oh, and by the way, the story. Another part of the story, and I can get anybody the PDF just for asking, so you can read it. But there's in the Colburn, which was the Bible of Joseph of Arimathea. There's another story of the flood, and in there we find out that the Egyptian king And I'm sure, and I have no doubt it was Akhenaten with Nefertiti, because he was the Egyptian pharaoh who shut down the priesthood in Meitzar. Correctly, it's Meitzar, not Egypt. In Meitzar, he shut down the priesthood, and it says for over 100 years. And then you read in Herodotus that the Hyksos moved in, and they also shut down the priesthood. And so both of them did that, and they did it for over 100 years. The length of time would actually be 120 years, and it's the same amount of time it says in Herodotus that it took to build the Giza pyramid. And in Enoch, the book of Enoch, it said that Shem built the uh, the Gazar pyramid, Gazar, not Giza, but Gazar, for gazing, looking up at the stars. The Tsar is a star, the star to look at, the Gazar, and that they he built the largest of all the pyramids, while Noah was building the ark for 120 years. Shem, also known as Melchizedek, who is actually Yeshua, the one who made the entire universe, comes down in the flesh and acts as a royal monarch, and he then builds the pyramid with Akhenaten. So what happened was the Akhenaten was giving Nova and the family all of the artisans that they needed to build the ark, and that makes sense. They had metallurgy. Ron Wyatt discovered the metal fittings on the side parts of the boat, and that these things could not have been made without a major industrial support. And that's what he had. And so it really wasn't just the 8 souls that went onto the boat. That was symbolic. The 8 number is important, for symbolism, but they brought people with them. You can imagine that they would have brought people with them that would have been helping them to build the ark. And that's Akhenaten, because he became allegiance with Melchizedek. So you got to know that there's so much more to the story that you haven't heard, and this is really a part of it. It's and that's why they literally tore the sides off of the Gazar pyramid. Why do you think they destroyed that pyramid? Right? Because it had the white. You can imagine the white stone that it had. It's an 8-sided pyramid. It's not 4-sided. It's creased in the middle of each of the 4 sides. It's creased in. It's indented, and they had white stones, so that's why in Gaza it's called Giza, because for all the way from over there they could see the shining star, the shining star of the pyramid, And so this is the story, the rest of the story, ladies and gentlemen, that you're not going to hear anywhere else, to my knowledge, because I've been talking about this stuff and the flood all of these years, and nobody wants to interview me. Nobody gets it, so that's okay. You heard it here first. Tell a friend, won't you? And bring him on in. Okay. Love to share. Oh, and then there's one more thing with Francis Bacon, because Damien brought on the a couple questions, and I mentioned Francis Bacon, and so I would just want you to know, if you go to the Book of Psalms, because he was the engineer. Francis Bacon was also known as the spear shaker. The spear, I don't know, I don't know the story behind it, but I just know that he was known as the spear shaker, and he was a power broker for the one world order. Like I say, he would be like a secretary, just like Biden, who's a little demented today, but used to be a sharp secretary, even vice president at one point. But the secretary is secretori. They're the ones who are insiders. That's why he gets away with so much of his expose of being a pedophile by handling all those girls and all those photo ops all the time. He can't hide it that he's a you know you know what I mean. So if we go to Psalm 46, and 46 is an important number also. Off the top of my head, I can't think of the importance of it. I can't remember what it was about. Um, but the 46, you go to the top of Psalm 46, and you count down 46 words, and you get shake. And when you go to the bottom of Psalm 46, you count up 46 words, and you get spear. Okay, Shakespeare. So so there's your spear shaker, and they put their code. The Jews on Psalm 119. That's the absolute center of the book. They fudged all the different books, juggled them, and they made it their book, and with all their removal of a lot of the important scriptures and everything. Then they put in the middle of Psalm 119. There's your 911, 119. They then every 8 verses put the Hebrew alphabet. Well, the Hebrew alphabet, that what we call a square root script, also known as demotic, comes out of Babylon. So they put Babylon in the middle of the book. Okay, they follow the Babylonian Talmud. That's their religious book. They pretend the 5 books of Moses, which is called the Pentateuch, not Torah. Torah, as you find out in the Mishnah, says that Torah means Talmud. But they got everyone buying into it. Nobody questions it. They don't know how to do the research, and therefore they're fooled. But Torah is destroy, destroy, destroy. It's a bull. So there you go. All right. So Ninja, why don't we go to a break, and then when we get back, we'll take part 2. Okay, and we'll go to the Hymn of the Pearl, I think, at that point. All right. So glad you're all tuned in, and hope you are telling your friends about the broadcast. And and David, good to see you there. Pillars of Hercules at the Gibraltar Strait. Much love to all. Thank you, David. Yeah, and in fact, the Strait of Gibraltar, right there in Portugal, the port of bitterness. There's your Portugal, port of business, port of bitterness. Why? Because and they had that big cave at the bottom of the mountain, right there, where all the mariners, all the men going to go out to the ocean would go in there and throw gifts to their god, and make sacrifice and pray, because they're going out in the big water and they figure they're never coming back. So yeah, it was a big port right there. That's why it's called Port Chagall and Port of Bitterness. From the literal sense, I know it may mean other things, but Portugal, Gaul is bitter. And so yeah, it's amazing, ladies and gentlemen, the history that we've been denied, and to go out on that big ocean, and just the good news was they were pretty good mariners, those seafarers, the navigators, star navigators, and but if you didn't have a good one, you were in trouble, and that would have been quite a deal to go on the high seas for sure. Okay, and so with that, we're going to take a break, and then we'll be back with the Hymn of the Pearl and a whole lot more of what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. And good to have you, and time to call a friend.
When Joseph was an old man was he. He married Virgin Mary, the Queen of Galilee. He married Virgin Mary, the Queen of Galilee. And one day as they went walking, all in the garden green, there were berries and cherries as thick as baby's seen. There were berries and cherries as thick as baby's seen. from Aunt Mary's womb. Bow down, ye tallest tree, that my mother might have some. Bow down, ye tallest tree, that my mother might have some. So bend down the tallest tree to touch Mary's hand, says she.
Oh, look now, Joseph, I have cherries at command, said she. Oh, look now, Joseph, I have cherries at command.
When Joseph was an old man was he. He married Virgin Mary, the Queen of Galilee. He married Virgin Mary, the Queen of Galilee.
And welcome back to Forbidden History Live, the series on Ask Dezert-Owl and the Original Thought Transliteration Project. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Dezert-Owl. Want to welcome any new listeners that we have out there, and also our new friends and old friends that stop by whenever they get the opportunity. And David, who stopped in, we hadn't seen him in a while, is out there in the United Kingdom. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we have ICU Mune that you're all going to want to know about and where you can get that. And that's some friends up in New Hampshire. So check out the website, and the ICU Mune has the zeolite and humic acid, fulvic acid in it, and it's just nature's byproduct that when you take it internally does a lot for you. Okay, so just go check out the details and tell a friend. Okay, and so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. I don't actually have a graphic for the pearl, but that's okay. We'll just go with our standard graphic, I guess. Yeah, we can do that. Sure. And so I'm going to open the book here. So one of the first book of lost writings I ever got was called the Lost Books of the Bible and the Forgotten Books of Eden, and that's what got me on the trail. I had a wish one day, laying on the couch and thinking, boy, I wish I had more scriptures. I wish they could discover another book by Paul, or those are my thoughts. I was getting bored with just reading the same New Testament. 27 little teeny weeny letters, of the New Testament, and thought, damn, there should be more, than this. And that week I was at a bookstore, and there it was on the shelf, $8. I remember the price, $8 at the time. So I grabbed it, and and then I started, looking for more, and then I got a catalog, and I found the other Bible, and so I grabbed this, and it had a collection of for the first time in one volume, ancient esoteric texts, including the Old Testament pseudepigrapha, and the and that's a 66 book collection. Okay, that's like more than what we got in our Old Testament. Practically. I don't know the comparison, but it's 2 volumes, hardcover, and a slipcase edition. I had a set. I had to pay at the time back in the 1980s. I paid about $120 for that 2 volume set. That was big money back then. Um, and then the Christian Apocrypha and the Gnostic Scriptures. Gnostic is really a misnomer because it's used to beat up on, like with the people who have the Nag Hammadi library, but they never called themselves Gnostics. Not that Gnostic is really a bad word, but they play on it. They play on our ignorance and make us think, oh, Gnostic, we wouldn't want nothing to do with that, right? Well, Gnostic means knowledge, so yeah, if you have knowledge, you're to be demonized, right? Yeah, this guy, he's been drinking that, hooey juice. And so, anyway, so let's go inside and let's find the Hymn of the Pearl, because the amazing part when you discover all the lost writings, they they were wealthy in, and there was no shortage of inspirational materials. We're talking about they had a library, ladies and gentlemen, and so the only problem we have with these lost writings is, of course, the people who are giving them to us very often are controlling the terminology. They're controlling the translations, because there's certain things they're not going to let out, just like with the flood. They're not going to let people know, oh, by the way, Mediterranean Sea means the sea in the middle of the land. Don't ask me about that, you know. But so yeah, that's been the big thing. So that's why when I was collecting the lost writings, I was already writing dictionaries in my age 20. That was over 40 years ago. 50 years ago, and so that's the deal. That they control it. They stole it from us. Then when it's rediscovered, then they're going to control the publishing and the narrative of the book. Like example, the Nag Hammadi, that was under the editorial control of James Robinson. Give me a break. An editor of a translation project, and these are all the Ashkenazi Jew front that are controlling everything, right? And then from money to media to military to publishing and you name it. And so they therefore did a hatchet job on the Nile Hammadi. Okay, they did a hatchet job, and so each of the different translators of each of the different books had his own little introduction, and all they did was they hacked at everything in there. In other words, not as if it were a sacred writing or in fact the most important a single collection of scriptures in the world, the most significant and the deepest that ever have been put in one collection from the Upper Nile River in the Nag Hammadi, where's the bend. That's what Nag means. The Nag is the serpent bend of the Nile, right there in the cliffs, where they used to have their monastery there. And because the Roman Empire was coming for them, they were coming to kill them, and so they then buried their books in a big clay jar on the side of a mountain under the rubble, and so that's what happened, and so I have to transliterate basically the code of these scriptures, and the Nag Hammadi was one of the first ones I decoded and wrote a little mini, it's in my Real Da Vinci Code etymological dictionary, my first official book that I published. But I had led up to it with about 8 dictionaries prior to that as prototype. All right, so I'm going to read and I'm going to ad lib. Let me take a sip of my drink here. And hope everybody's doing okay out there. It's a tough world, and we've got to get through it. And we got to keep looking up. The good news is this is not our world, ladies and gentlemen, not our world. And who would want it with all the deception and all the games that are being played? They're poisoning us with the food. Come on, this is not our world. Let them have it. Okay, keep looking up and make your connection. Yeah, Maria has a question in the chat. I'm looking. Well, you want to clue me in? I don't see it.
Okay. She says, "Sorry, can I ask one question? Why the Vatican
Wait
is
a minute. How
hiding
come I don't see the question?
That's what I was asking before. Are you on top chat or live
I've
chat?
never had to change from top chat. Okay, but I'll do it. But I've never had to do that. So let me do it and see what happens.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So now I see it.
Okay.
But now did it remove other questions?
No, it
I
should
hope
have
not.
all of them. It should
All
have
right.
everybody.
Well, I never had to do that. All right.
Okay.
So Maria, thank you, and thank you, Ninja. Sorry, can I ask one question? Why the Vatican is hiding the truth about this? Well, because they're a serpent cult, Maria. Pretty basic. They're a serpent cult. They hate the spirit. They're in other words, their culture was developed and designed by the fallen Vekaresh, the fallen Watchers, the Aryan race that fell and decided they wanted to enslave mankind, formed a religious cult, and it's a serpent cult because they embraced the physical. They embraced the serpent, the body, and therefore they gave the proverbial finger to the great Yahweh, to the Yahweh, to the great Father, to the great Spirit. And they said, "We don't care for you. You can get lost because we're taking over this planet. You think it's your planet? We're taking over. We're going to enslave everybody. We're going to have every depraved idea made available to anybody who wants to be involved." And that's what really happened. Cynthia Sage says, "I don't see it either." Okay. 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 At the top, Sage, you'll see where it says top chat. Click down live chat. It's because hers is the last question and it didn't pop in. That's the first time that's ever happened on a deal. So I'll have to go with live chat, I guess, at the beginning of each program now. So, all right. Yep. Thank you very much. God, you've said it enough. I got it. All right. First time for everything, Ninja, right? Okay. No? Oh, okay. All right. Hymn of the Pearl. So this is really one of my favorites. I actually did a transliteration of it, and I don't know where it is anymore. Boy, I've got so many translations spread around the planet. Okay, but so we'll just read it fresh right here. So and basically to help you out before I start reading, it is it's the imagery of because yesterday we just did part 2 of the presentation on how Yeshua is the active agent, and he's the one who comes down to earth to speak truth to mankind and to show them the way, right? And so he Yeshua coming down, forgets because he's in the flesh, just like Adam forgot when he came to the lower garden as well, because he was the bright and shining one. He was the first Nazareth, and so he forgot, and truly was destined to fall. But Yeshua was destined to win, and that's so they're archetypes that have similar characteristics, but in the fact that Yeshua was the first made in the universe, the first atom, and then Adam was the first made on earth, the first Adam, the first blood of the earth, because that's what Adam means, blood of the earth. And um and so so there's patterns, and so the pattern is there's a great, there's a small, microcosm, macrocosm. It's the duality, and the smaller is speaking of the bigger is speaking of the smaller. There's parallels, and these help us to get bearing within our world, within this world where we have to learn to navigate, to be set free, and to go back home to where we come from, because we come from the light. We're not of the earth, we're foreign to the earth. Elohim spontaneously formed us. We did not evolve. I told the story yesterday of how we were spontaneously formed through the fiery magma, through the lava, and through the water, and put on the land. But yet the Elohim could not breathe life, into Hadam. And so then the spirit in the great mystery comes down and breathes the gnosis into the nostral, the gnosis, knowledge. And then he takes him up to the throne of the Son, because he was the first made before anything else was made on earth. And then he's taken up to the throne of the Son, which is the center vortex, which is the 0 point within the solar system. And from there, they are together while Yeshua is making all things, including the planets and the moons, and then the things that are on the earth. At the point then when he gets Adam, but he is wanting to see what Adam would call these things, because he breathed the gnosis into him, and therefore he wanted to see what he would call them. That's what it says in our Genesis. And so it's all when you really start looking at the beginnings and everything, they've pulled out so much. I'm reading something right now that was discovered in Iraq, and the document comes from about right after the siege of Jerusalem, which was 70 A.D. So right around 80 or to 100 A.D. that period, and therefore it would be the oldest scripture available next to the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I'm reading it, and it's got many of the missing elements in there as well. So yeah, we've been robbed, but the good news is that a lot of these things get rediscovered for our benefit. We have to learn to be scholars, and we have to put on our thinking cap, and I've got a few dictionaries you can get a hold of, that will help you to break the code. You got to start learning the code, and that's what we're sharing here every program we're doing with you. Okay, so the hymn of the pearl. When I was a a little child, living in the kingdom in my father's house, happy in the illumination and the richness of my family that nurtured me. my parents gave me provision and sent me forth from our house to the east. From their treasure house, they made up a bundle for me. It was big enough. It was big, though, very light, so I might carry it alone. And it held gold from the house of the highest ones, and silver of Gazak the Great, and rubies of India, and opals from the land of Kushan. And they girded me with adamant. Adamant is what is used to make steel, which can crush iron. And they took off my bright robe of glory, illumination. That would be like, he's clothed in light, right? Like the sun. They took off from me my bright robe of illumination, which they had made for me out of love, the Garden of Atoms, and took away my purple toga, which was woven to fit my stature, my quality of character. They made a covenant with me, kevanun, and wrote it upon my heart so that I would not forget it. When you go down to Meitzar, Egypt, and bring back the one pearl which lies in the middle of the sea and is guarded by the breathing serpent. There's your serpent cult again. It's guarded by the serpent. Yeah, they took it over. You will again put on your robe of illumination and your toga upon it. And with your brothers, our next in rank, you will be heir in our royal domain. So I left the east, and the east is referencing the sun, and went down with my two royal envoys. In this here, the royal envoy could be, regarding John the Baptist. Since the way was dangerous and harsh, and I was very young to walk alone, I crossed the borders of Meishan, the gathering place of the merchants of the east, and came into the land of Babel, and entered the walls of Sarbug. I went down into Meitzar Egypt, and my companions left me. I went straight to the serpent, and settled in close by his inn, waiting for him to sleep, so I could take my pearl from him. Since I was all alone, I was a stranger to others in the inn. Yet I saw one of my own people there, a nobleman from the east, young, handsome, lovable, a son of royal Malaks, kings, an anointed one. And he came and was close to me, and I made him my confidant, with whom I shared my mission. I warned him against the Mitzrayim, the Egyptians, and of contact with the unclean ones. Then I put on the robe like theirs, lest they suspect me as an outsider who had come to steal the pearl, lest they arouse the serpent against me, the priesthood. But somehow they learned I was not their countryman, and they dealt with me cunningly and gave me their food to eat. I forgot that I was the Zan, the son of royal Malaks, of kings, and served their king. I forgot the pearl for which my parents had sent me. Through the heaviness of their food, I fell into a deep sleep. But when all these things happened, my parents knew and grieved for me. It was proclaimed in our royal domain that all should come to our gate. And the kings and princes of Parthia and all the nobles of the east wove a plan on my behalf, so I would not be left in Meitzar, Egypt. And they wrote for me a letter, and every noble signed it with his royal title. From your great father, the royal Malakaim of royal Malakaim, the king of kings, and your mother, the mistress of the East, the virgin light, and from your brother, supporting power, our next in rank. For you, our Zan son in Mitzrayim, Egypt, greetings. Wake up and rise up from your sleep and give ear to the Eshavors, the words of our letters. Remember that you are the Zan of royal Malaks, son of kings, and see the slavery attached for your life. Remember the pearl for which you went down into Meitzar, Egypt. Remember your robe of illumination, your splendid mantle, which you may wear when your royal title is titled in the book of life, is read in the book of heroes. When you and your Brothor inherit our royal domain, and serving as a messenger, the letter was a letter sealed by the royal Malak, the king, with his right hand, against the evil ones, the blind ones, the offspring of Babel, and the savage demons of Sarbug. It rose up in the form of an eagle, the royal Malak, king of all winged fowl. It flew and alighted beside me, and became speech. At its voice and the sound of its rustling, I woke up and rose up from my deep sleep. I took it, I kissed it, broke its seal and read it. And the Eshavors, the words written upon my heart, were in the letter for which it was given to me to read. I remembered that I was the Zan of a royal Malakaim, son of king, and my free will longed for its own kind, the separate people. I remembered the pearl of great price, for which I was sent down into Meitzar, Egypt, and I began to enchant the terrible and snorting, fire-breathing Asharfan serpent. I charmed him into sleep by naming the royal title of my great father over him, and the royal title of the next in rank, and of my Mothor, the queen of the East. I seized the pearl. I turned to carry it up to my father, their filthy and impure garment. I stripped it off from me, that serpent, leaving it in the fields, and directed my way into the light of our homeland in the east. That's the light of the sun, the great logo. On my way, the letter that woke me up was lying on the road, and as it had awakened me with its voice, so it guided me by its light. It was written on the Chinese silk and shone before me in its own true form. Its voice soothed my fear, and its love urged me on. I hurried past Sarbug and Babel on the left, and came to Meashan, the haven of the merchants, perched next to the sea. My robe of illumination, which I had taken off, and the toga over it were sent by my parents from the heights of Hyrcania. They were in the hands of treasurers, for whom they were committed because of their victory of light, their faith. I had forgotten the robe's splendor, for as a youth I had left it in my father's house, my great father. As I gazed on it, suddenly the garment seemed to be like a mirror of myself, and I saw it in my whole being, and in it I saw myself split apart. For we were two entities, yet one in form. That's your symbiotic, right? You have to win that battle. One of them has to die, right? The treasurers brought me one robe. They were two of the same shape, with one kingly seal. They gave me wealth, and the bright embroidered robe was colored with gold and beryls, with rubies and opals, and sardonyxes, and many colors were fashioned to it in its high home. All its seams were fastened with stones of adamant, and the image of the Malachim of Malachim, King of Kings, was embroidered on it, the image of light. And it glowed with sapphires of many colors. I saw it quiver all over with the movements of gnosis. And as it prepared to speak out, it moved towards me, murmuring the sound of its sangha as it descended, breathing, I am the one who acted for him, for whom I was brought up in my Father's house. I saw myself growing in stature, according to the labors, with regal movements. It was spreading towards me, urging me to take it, and love urged me to receive it. And I stretched forth and received it, and put on the beauty of its colors. I cast my toga of brilliant colors all around me. Therein I clothed myself and ascended up to the gate of salutation and adoration. I bowed my head and adored the majesty of my great Father who had sent it to me. I had fulfilled his mandates, and he had fulfilled what he had promised, the sovereign promise. And at the gate of his princes I mingled with the nobles, his nobles. He stood up in the flowing light, rejoiced in me, and received me, the mother's eye. And I was with him in his royal domain, and I am with him in his royal domain. And all his Asharfans, his servants, praise him with resounding voices. He promised me that I would journey quickly with him to the gate of the Malachim, the royal messengers of royal messengers, the kings of kings. And with my gifts, my pearl of great price, I would appear with him before our Melech, before our king. And there you have the hymn of the pearl, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see several versions of that because, like I say, these very often get a hatchet job. And you know, the word king is Cain, you know, right? King is Cain. So these words are wrong. And of course, the original would be Malach in that idea, the Malach game. And so, okay, so that's the hymn of the pearl. And we're going to take one more break. And when we get back, I'm going to, what time is it here? Are you kidding? We only been at this for 1 hour? Geez, it feels like 3 hours already. Oh, you laughing? Uh-huh. Okay, go. You just a button presser. What do you know? All right. Okay. So let's see here. So I wanted to okay, well that the pearl was the opener. Wait a minute. Let me think here. And I wanted to what I wanted to do, I wanted to follow up before we do the break with you know, a couple key points. I'm trying to remember what they are now with what we did, you know, on the nature of God and all of that, you know, that we did for two more programs. So I wanted to say that you know, when we talk about the Great Father, you know, I was making the distinction between Yeshua, you know, is the Father, right? Because he is all things in this universe, because he is the active agent. And so but the Great Father is beyond the universe. He's on the other side. That's where we want to go, wherever the Great Father is. It's out of here, because this universe is predominantly dark. It's void. It's empty. Where we want to go is full. It's complete with light. It's not a void. It's a fullness. It's something profound that we can't begin to, wrap our mind around, because it's beyond this universe. Therefore, it is indescribable. So I want to show you how this terminology was actually used in our scripture, but it gets corrupted. Because if you remember the story of the rich man, he comes running up to Yeshua, right? And he goes, well, the terminology in our scriptures, let me take a sip here. The terminology in our scriptures, actually the correct word is shultres, shul for knowledge of the three. The three, one begat two, two begat three, and three begat the infinite. Okay, and so the shultres is an original word. Scriptures literally means skip truth. It's one of those code words. I got to do a special in the next couple days. I'm gonna do a special on words, and I'm gonna show all of our religious terms and how they switched them out, and what they really mean, which is typically negative, and that then give the the original thought. Okay, so that's coming up in a few days from now. Not sure when, but so the rich man, he didn't go say good master. What he was saying was, when he ran up to him, um, great master, and of course master is mother star. So he probably went up to him saying great mother star, right? Because he's providing knowledge that nobody else can provide. Great mother star. And so he goes to him, uh, not why do you call me good, because none is good. That never made sense. Anytime you read that scripture, it doesn't make sense. None is good. Well, yeah, in that idea, Yeshua is good, sure. So the idea is great. It's the word great. That's how they played the game on us. So he runs up to him and says, great mother star, what must I do to be saved? And the first thing Yeshua says back to him is, why do you call me great? There is none great but the great Father. You see? And that's the use of that terminology that I've been presenting about the distinction between Yeshua being the Father. He is all things for us. He is mother, he is father, he is sister, he is brother. He is all things. And but the great Father is outside this universe because he is so great. And that's why he needed to use his active agent, uh, which is Yeshua, who is all things. For us, he is all things. He made all things, and he is all things. That's the beauty behind the great mystery. To know, anytime you need something, when you are serving him, he brings it in the mystery. He brings it, and you know it, and he did, because it happens in such a profound way. Okay. So that's one item, and then the other one was, okay. So just to clarify again, with the idea of the first made, and so I think I need to go to a screen share. I just do this better looking at the document again. So I'm going to do the share right now. Share screen. Boom, boom, and pull up the Word document. Okay, thank you. And so, because we're dealing with the first, and so we have, I want to see how I want to do this. Come on. The duplicate. We have the first. Come on. What are you, different type size? What's going on here? That's a 22 and that's a 22. It looks different. All right, the first ATOM. Okay. And then we have here, put it down here, the first ADOM. Okay. So we have the atom. Let's copy that. How about that? Do it like that. Control copy. Okay. Control V. Okay. And then we got the first atom, which is 26. 26. Okay. All right. So what we have is a type. We call these archetypes. And let me just see what we got here. 20. Oh, that's 26. Let me do that here. Okay. And okay, so we have two archetypes that are similar. So Yeshua, first in the universe. Okay. And then we have the first on earth. Where do I want to put that? How do I want to do this? I want to keep those names next to each other because they're spelled. So I'll do it at the bottom. First, the first in the universe. The first made. Okay, there we go. I think I can bump it up a little bit. See what we got here. Huh. All right. And then we have the first made on the earth. Okay. So, okay. So we have the universe. We'll make that gold also. Where'd that gold go? Oh, come on. You're not going to give it to me? How do I get? It's been a while since I worked with Word, so it's how do I? Well, and that it's not pulling it up though. You say, oh, unless I go what here, and then I say okay. Is that what you're suggesting? Okay, let's find out. Let's find out. Okay, so the universe. Yeah, there it is. Okay, it's been a while since I've worked with Word. You know, you don't do the stuff every day, you forget. And then so Adam, because he is red Earth, we'll go with the red, and see if we can find a deep red for him. Not too deep. That's not good enough. Okay, we're gonna have to fix that. Can't stand that red. Okay, how do I get to the wheel? Oh, go right there. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Okay, there we go. I like that. That's better. And so, okay. And then the earth, blood of the earth, the first made. And Adam means, what do I got? Two different kinds of red here? How'd that happen? Cut it out. Come on, control copy. It reverted back. Okay, and then, so now you should be good, right? So let's see if we do it on the earth. Okay. Oh, it did the light again. How'd that happen? Okay, the dark red is there, so this is live broadcasting, live. Okay, there we go. Okay, so and I can bump that one up, so that will go with that, the earth, okay? And okay, and so we have two archetypes. So we know that, as we pointed out here, Yeshua is the perfect made. He's the first. We'll say here. We'll elaborate here. The first perfect atom. And so anything after that, because in other words, the reason he's perfect is because the great Father made him, right? Before anything was made, who's going to make the first thing, right? And it's going to be the great spirit, who's beyond this universe, the great, who's 10,000 times greater, than all the the universe combined, 10,000 times greater, or the power of 10,000 universes. So he's going to make the first move, and the first move is he makes the first atom, who is Yeshua. That is Yeshua in the primitive, and because what goes with the physical is the spirit, right? So Yeshua in the physical is just merely an image, right? Everything's an illusion, here today, gone tomorrow, just a composite of atomic particles combined to create a form. But he is spirit, and spirit is beyond the physical. So the atom is the automobile, the atom is the conveyance, because he is spirit, but he's identified with the first atom. Okay, so I just want to point that out. And there's some really interesting things, by the way, with that word atom, and I've got some notes here, and I'll probably just spell them out here before we leave this position. So they have similar stories. We've got, therefore, the first made by the Father, the Great Father, is Yeshua. He's the first atom. He's the first made. And so anything that's going to happen after that, who's going to make it? You want to guess, Ninja? You think you can guess that one? If the Great Father made the first material thing in this universe, which is the first atom, Yeshua, then who made the next? Who's the next one in charge to make something? Thank you very much. Because he was commissioned.
I'll say it again.
What?
Yeshua.
Right. Because he was commissioned to be the active agent within this universe. Right. And so he's going to create duplicates. That's what we were talking about when we ended the program, right? Was the idea of that Thomas was, the duplicate. They called him a twin. To see how they changed the story. They say, well, we think that Thomas may have been the twin of Jesus. Like, give me a break, right? A twin. No, it's in the word. It's Talma. You got to go back to the Aramaic, and then you put the A in front. You can see that's what it means. It's the duplicate. It's about duplication. I am another you. Yeshua comes down to create more of himself, to create the perfect creation. He's perfect, but in the beginning, all of creation, we could say, is perfect, but then man comes along, right? This guy down here, he's dumb, right? Adam. And it's because he is made not by the Yahweh, by the Great Father. He is made by Elohim, which is the physical makeup of Yeshua, the physical character, but it is of a lower creation. The first made man is, in other words, if you're going to make something, you can't make something greater than yourself, nor can you make something equal to yourself at the beginning. You can only make something below yourself, lesser, and it'd be impossible to make something greater than ourselves, unless we're talking about maybe character, right? Character, then we can work on that. And so what we have is the first atom, and he's perfect. Therefore, when he comes to do his job at the end of time, 2,000 years ago, he has total success. So he's creating another creation. The first one that he made was the first phase of something that was greater, in the idea of being born again or becoming the second born. So the first Adam then he's also Elohim. Yeshua is Elohim, and the Elohim make Adam, the blood of the earth, from the fiery magma. But the Elohim cannot breathe life into Adam. And so in the mystery, the spirit comes down and breathes. That would be, from Yeshua in the great mystery, from the Great Father, breathes into Adam, and he then is a living being. And then he's taken up to the throne of the Son. So what happened to Adam? He was made by Elohim. He's a type like Yeshua, whereas Yeshua was the first made in the universe, the atom. Then Adam is the first made upon the earth. You see? But whereas Yeshua could not fail, when he came here 2,000 years ago and achieved what the prime objective always was to make a perfect creation. Adam, when he comes down last as the last race, the Aryan race, first made upon the earth, but comes last because Adam was up there the whole time in the throne of the Son with Yeshua while he made all things. Adam was naming all things. And then at the end, he falls asleep and comes down to the lower world. And so what happened? He got caught up in a serpent. He had a wrestling match and he lost. And so therefore now Yeshua has to come and save him, because this was the destiny of the first phase of creation, which is the lower world. And now through choice, we can choose to become part of a greater world within Yeshua. We can die to this world and relive in the higher realm of light versus the darkness that this world offers. And so that's basically the short of it, ladies and gentlemen, because we could go in a lot of directions with this type of information. But I want to show one thing that's lends support to this terminology, because number one, you hear me use the word kymatica, which would be spelled something like this, kymatica, but the correct spelling would be like this. Mata, K-H-A, matica, kymatica. You could have just a Y, but or without the A there, but I think it's correctly the kymatica, and I spelled it here with hyphens so that it's easier to appreciate. And come on, okay, going a little slow there. So so the kymatica, then we see the word K is correctly key, META KHA. Okay, and so key, and so what we have here is very often when you break down the Ashavors, the words, then you read it actually from right to left, and you get the meaning. So the ka is the will. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put underneath the will. Okay, behind the fiery keys. And the fiery keys in the primordial sense are the sun and moon. So when Adam, was trying to tempt his woman, come on, honey, let's do this thing, because the great Elohim doth know, Zulufhaim doth know that if we do this thing, we will become like Zulufhaim, to know the difference between not good and evil, which are abstract terms, the corruptions that the priesthood gave us because they didn't want us to have the original. What he would have said to her was, because the great Zulufhaim knows that the day we do this thing, we will be like Zulufhaim, and we will know the difference between sun and moon, meaning light and darkness, life and death. And they did learn it, didn't they? They learned the difference. They did. But that's how the original would have been, you see, because they're symbols, and the symbol carries the message. Okay, but so it's not only behind, but also here's the other meaning of that. Okay, so let me put it right here. Control copy, Control V. Ooh, what'd that do? Okay, and so so it is beyond the mind. So here it is, beyond, Y-O-N, the mind, the will beyond the mind. Because meta means mata also, because mata, and also mata means truth. It's relative to the word truth. Like in the word Methuselah, we see Methuselah, so it means, you know, the truth that comes at the end of time. Methuselah, the peace, the truth and the peace that comes at the end of time. The Methuselah, Shalah, for healing root. At the end of time comes the healing root. That's what Shalat means. Methuselah. So, so the will behind the mind. All right. And so when we talk about metaphor, we're talking about beyond the mind, because it's abstract and you can't necessarily hold it or touch it, or it's like you know, it's becoming something other, transitioning from one thing to another in the metaphor, right? In the metaphor. And so in this word, let's go to the next line now. Okay. So in this idea of the atom. Okay, so from the beginning, so what did we get from the beginning? Atom, okay, which is the perfect creation. Let me put that there, the perfect creation. Because you look around and you know, like, you know, I have an old saying, you know, if man were in here, it'd be a pretty nice place, right? All the beauty, all the creation, it's perfect. It's dynamic. It's you know how, and it's him. It's the incarnation of the sovereign, right? So the perfect creation, Kray, Khray, creation. There's the right word. And so what do we get with Adam? Let me see what I'm going to do here. So out of Adam, we get at Om, and so that is the trying to think how I want to do this here. The boy. Okay, okay, here's how we'll do it. The sound, the place of sound. Okay, so you see that's what they say about the Om, right? It's the first sound. And what is this? Let's in fact, let's just spell it out. Okay, it's the alphabet. And then the other side we have um, first sound. Okay, and what happened to that one? That one changed on me, morphed. It, okay, so so there we go, and so we'll go to the next one, and it is eight. You know, I had notes. I had drafted this whole thing I'm trying to do right now over 10 years ago, so I'm doing this from memory because I realized it would be important to do. So, okay, here we go. A T E M P T, a temp. Okay, a temp. So there's atom, right? So you see when we add the other word, actually T-E-M-P, the P, they put the P on it for the creation. So there's a tem, a tem is A T E M P T. Okay, E M T. All right, and so so this is then what we get with temperature, right? So this is all coming tempa, T-M-P-A-T-U-R-E, temperature. I bet you I'm spelling that wrong. Thank you very much. I didn't want your automation, but I'll take it. All right. And here's one more note I'm going to have to do too. All right. So atom. So we have atom. I guess I better make them red so that they all stand out. Okay. And so then we get atom. And then we have, and so that's sound. That is sound. Okay. And then we have atem. And what do we call that? I think we would call that condition. temperature, condition. Okay. And so let's do it that way. Can we do it that way? I don't know. There we go. Okay. And then we have ATIM. Okay. And ATIM. I'm not sure, a lot of this is by inspiration and at times because you're working with formula. AT, it looks like ATM, right? Maybe that's it. I bet you that's it because it makes sense. And I'll go with that for the moment. And so we have ATIME, a time. Okay, and so time is measurement. That's measurement. You see, so all of these come out of the atom. You see, that's the point that is being made here, that this is all coming out. In other words, when the creation begins, MEASURE, MENT. And so this is what is happening out of the atom is becoming the foundational structure of time, space, condition, and sound. So and I had done it really well. It was when I lost after I lost my apartment in Georgia and I was stuck in Louisiana, and I had pulled out all my books, had no computer, and for a better part of a year, I was just reading and taking notes, and so we got temperature, we've got so tame, okay, a tame, um, is another possible because I'm working with vowels, and the vowels are changing. ATAME, a tame. And it sounds like attain, ATAIN, and so it has an implication for growth, right? And so attain, and so it shows a few things. Number one, that these qualities that I'm able to produce are based on the fact that this is an original form, the alphabet from A to T. Okay, and then like the ohm, you've heard these symbols before, and you see them in the East in particular, and so they're real structure, and so we've got temperature, time, uh, attainment, growth, all of these things, sound and conditions. So this is a good example. Because we're not in the past, it's probably something we could never perfectly reproduce what it was attempting. There's an attempt for temperature, attempting to do. Attention, maybe temp thing could be condition and action. Let me put that there. You see that? And ACTION, and action. How about that? So anyway, that's just rather interesting, and again, I've not, yes, that's all right. No, I'm shifting gears. Yeah.
Okay. That's appropriate. I couldn't stop looking at ATM when you put that on there. As more confirmation, I guess. I was looking at the words that ATM represent, like today, and A being automatic. We breathe automatically, and breath produces the sound, which goes to T, automatic teller machine. Teller, well, you tell somebody you're using your breath to speak. Machine, this world, our bodies, everything works like a well-oiled machine if you look after it.
Oh yeah. Right, and the modern is holding on to the original in these things, just like turbine in a jet. Well, the turbine comes from turbine, and they used to spin the towel on the head, and that's the turbine going around, or the mag wheel is at the center of the hub. In the old 1960s automobiles, they had what they called chrome mags, and the mag is the hub at the center, and there's your magi at the center. The magi is centered. He knows everything in the universe. So that's how a lot of the words came
Sorry.
to me by seeing it in our modern. What?
Sorry, one more thing, the final thing, sorry. And
All right.
ATM being a money machine also fits in very well because the world is controlled by money or people that control the money.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they would put that there
Yeah.
For measurement, right? For the measurement of how much you're going to get out.
Yeah.
You see? Okay. So very
Thank you.
good. So thank you for that. And then the only other thing I want to point out is that well, Adam was called the shining one because he had the head knowledge, and that's what happened to him. He got caught up. He got caught up in his head knowledge because he knew so much, you know. And he says, "Don't worry, you know, we'll know the difference between sun and moon, right? Because these are the symbols that you know are used by the occult. They say they're of the light, right? But yet they secretly occult the sun with the moon. That's called the black sun, and we see that all the time, you know, in the movies and you know in all different things, and even in the words, the SC, as the with shul, they put the symbol of the moon in front of the S, and it went from shul, which meant knowledge, into school, but it's now controlled by the Scottish Rite and the communist Jews that want to indoctrinate us. You see, so working with these things, key, meta, K, the will behind the fiery keys, and the will beyond the mind. So that's really how much we're affected, right? Because we don't get it. We're under mind control, right? It's the will, it's their will beyond our mind that has been moving us through time, telling us to go here, do this, come over here, stand in line, shut up, just don't ask questions, and that's the problem that we've been dealing with on planet Earth because we didn't know who we were. We only knew who they told us we were, right? And they gave us a label and they gave us a birth certificate, which was a slave document. And now run your go your merry way, go get a job, and we're going to take about, oh, I don't know, maybe 40% of what you make every week, and we'll send it to the Treasury or the what do you call it, the International Monetary Fund, and we'll fund other war campaigns and other programs that will be not in anybody's good interest, and that's the game they've been playing on us all along, ladies and gentlemen. And so the Chematica, that was a good revelation for me because it it's a word I've been using. What Chematica means is the that you have opposites. You have opposites, and so it's Chematica. It's beyond the keys. It's beyond the will. And so I'm looking at my notes here. Hang on a minute. And so, yeah, it's the will beyond the fiery keys. In other words, in the idea of the duality, right? Let me do it that way. IDEA of the DUALITY. The idea of the duality, is black and white, right? In symbolic terms. And okay, black and white. Running out of room here. I don't want to skip the page. How I want to do this. Okay, I'll just change the color on that one. Let's do that. And okay. So the idea of the duality, black and white, climatica. And so it's the K, mata, K, matica, and it means the will behind the fiery key. So in other words, the implication, the will, what will, whose will? I was just using it as an example of those who wanted to enslave us, right? But they didn't create the universe. They created the matrix that is affecting us every day. So it's a false creation. It's a matrix, right? It's the third, well, also called the third world. That's what they made. because originally there was only two worlds. There was the supernatural world of the spirit beyond the physical, and then we had the natural world, which was based on the physical form, shape, size. And so whose will is really behind this kymatica, which is the duality of opposites, black and white, male, female, up and down, in and out, hot and cold, big and small, right? Oh, the opposites, the dynamic, because this universe could not exist without that dynamic, right? And so the question is, whose will is behind the fiery keys of sun and moon? And of course, it is the great Father. It is the great Spirit, right? That wanted to bring forth a creation so that he could have a creation that would love him and that would be with him forever, forever. The other people that don't want to go, good riddance. You can drift through space endlessly forever in the cold reaches of space in darkness without your serpent, because your serpent is on a timeline and it has an end, you see? And so nobody gets over on anybody here, and it's better to be the victim than it is to be the oppressor, because the oppressors are going to suffer in the next world. They have a party here right now, and so it's opposite on the other side, right? They're then going to suffer on the other side. While they had a party here, while they tortured you here, your torture will be over, and then you will be loved and you'll have peace on the other side. Okay, that's the beauty behind the climatica of opposites, right? Because nobody gets away with anything. Cause and effect, cause and effect of action reaction, and also called natural law. So anyway, that's where I wanted to take that. This is like now 3-part on who is this guy God anyway? Because and one more thing I should just add, because most people think of the term God, they think of like God being the supreme one of everything, the one who made everything, and before time existed, right? And yet, but the word comes as a cover for Elohim, and Elohim came as a cover out of Babylon for Zulafane, and so it's not the great Father; it is the Son. It is the Son who then becomes the Father for the Father. And so, and to prove this out, right? If Yeshua were God, who they call Jesus, Yeshua, if he were God in the idea that they claim that God is the one who made all things and and it was forever before the universe, then the logical question would be, can God die? And that idea would be no, because if he's God and he always was and always will be, then he couldn't die. But yet Yeshua, he died. Yeshua died because he had a beginning. He was the first made. And he becomes the Father for the Father. He says, I and the Father are one. You see me, you see the Father. Do you get that, Ninja? Does that make sense to you?
My microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you. Everything that you've been saying since we put the document on the screen has, like, every time I listen to you,
It gets more clear?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So thank you. Right.
All right. Well, good. I just wanted to, because we hadn't talked much. We're coming and going, and we do the work we got to do, but we never. I forgot to ask you, how you registered with the last program we did. So I just thought I'd put you on the spot here. But you see, it's simple. It's really simple when you know the original terms, and then you ask the right questions, and because you have to look at the way they were trying to beat that, you see, the way the occultists were trying to beat it, where they're saying, well, he didn't really die, and he didn't really suffer either. Okay, so he didn't suffer, but he expects us to do that, right? Expects us to suffer, but he didn't, and that's a bunch of nonsense, you see, because he was flesh and blood. He's our elder brother. That's why at the end of the book of Revelations, when Yalzinun John is kneeling down before him, and he says, don't, and Yeshua says to him, don't worship me, worship the Spirit. You see? So he's our elder brother. He doesn't expect us to worship him. He wants us to worship the great Father, who is the Spirit. You see? And so because we, even his friends, were humbling themselves so much, they were adoring him, the image. When it's not about adoring the image, but it is acknowledging the truth, and the truth is the Spirit, and so, and the truth is the great Father. I mean, they're one and the same, just like Yeshua is the Word, or the logo, or the Eshavor at the Royal Center, so there you go. And I think we got just time for one more, and that's going to be a read from the, well, okay, I did, I wanted to do one more. I think I got to do two more. So let's take a break on Ninja. And then when we get back, I'm going to go into Gaskell, because actually the very next definition, which is what I mentioned yesterday, is in here. And it is on Americu, the feathered serpent. And so I thought how appropriate we got these back to back on both programs. So it's a short read, and then I'll wrap it up with the Aquarian Gospel. We'll have to postpone Fenton one more time because we're, just getting too long-winded and a lot of ground to cover. But that's okay, because what I'm trying to do is to bring a lot of the things that I've been seeing for a long time, and I'm trying to help people to see these things for themselves. What good is it? Because you can't, head knowledge. That's what got Adam in trouble, right? It was the head knowledge, and it's about the spirit, and it's about sharing and about the love that the interaction brings. So let me. I got to multitask here. I got to unmute. I guess you're already there, huh? I'm stopping sharing now, and I'll minimize that. And so yeah, let's go to a break, and when we get back, we'll a little bit more, just a little bit more, ladies and gentlemen. And boy, it's only 9 o'clock. Boy, it seems like it's been 4 hours so far. So I'm really getting into. I had to talk myself into doing the program tonight, I must say. I just wanted to, you get so depressed at times when you're surrounded by Freemasons who want to kill you, and I just want to, it's hard to go on sometimes, I got to say, and especially when you know so much. The beauty is when a week before I came up here, I had a vision of light that the Father gave me. I'm not going to describe it because it's I've talked about it before, and all I want to say is I had that experience, so that when I fell victim to the gang stalking and the street theater and the attempted break-ins of my apartment, and people trying to run me over, and all these things that were happening, the games that they play, the communist movement, the Masons, that I hold on to that vision, because that's what keeps me going, because I know there is a light at the end of my tunnel. And so that's the greatest challenge, when you got nobody to talk to, nobody to and I mean eyeball to eyeball. I talk to Ninja every day, but I mean eyeball to eyeball, to have a brother, sister, or just a friend that you know and so it's the worst kind of isolation, because you don't get that. You do better in prison, like I was saying. And so I struggle. I feel like um it's called a mental breakdown. You're having things don't register normally at one point, or you are not able to do the things you used to do, those type of things. That's what you go through in that type of environment. It's called persecution, and so Yeshua said that we would suffer persecution, and we're going to all suffer a big one very soon at the hands of these Masons, these communists that are engineering our world for the Vatican and the Jewish bankers. So we're all going to be genocided by them. It's not going to happen. It's happening right now in Gaza. It's happening in all parts of the world. And that starvation, there never had to be starvation on this planet. But the selfish and the wicked wage perpetual war against man in order to keep him under control, in order to keep the population down. But now it's game over. And so we're in the winding down phase of total annihilation. And even themselves, they're going down as well. They're not going to get away with it. They think they're going to go underground, but it's all going to be over. And they did it. When there's no oxygen on the top, pretty soon there won't be any oxygen underneath. When they have to rebuild things with industrial capabilities like, smelting and things like that, they won't be able to do that. They're going to break down underground. And then how would you like to be living underground with a bunch of psychopaths that like to eat your flesh? Huh? I guess they'll all be kind of walking around with their knives and gun on their hip, wondering who's the next dinner, right? Think about it. So it's going to be a dark world for them. It's a dark world for us right now. But the good news is we have access to the light, ladies and gentlemen. It is the greatest reality, that is easy to see. And so I hope that through the conveyance of these metaphysical aspects of our creation, because the physical creation is the voice of the invisible realm. You see, it speaks. Nature is speaking. And that's the great mystery. And the Masons were always teaching, don't look at nature. God's not there. No, he's not there. Come on, nature. Oh, you're a nature worshiper, huh? All right, and they did the same with the sun. You talk about the sun, you're a sun worshiper. No, we're talking about the atom, the garden of atoms that brings forth all life and creation. So anyway, they're good twisters, And there's Maria with the light bulb. Very nice, Maria. All right, so let's go to a break. And when we get back, a little bit more, and I'm hanging in there, so I'm grateful for you hanging in there as well, all of you. Okay, and those coming on later. Thank you for stopping by, and don't forget, we struggle, and if you want to make a love gift, if you go to the top of the banner on the home page or the live or video page at the top, you'll see where it says PayPal up there. Yeah, I need a new mouse and, and a couple other things, and a couple bug out bags too, because they've already fixed. I saw them fix the telephone pole down in the bottom of the alley, and they've already geared it up for the DEW. DEW. Okay, so you know what that is, right? The directed energy. So this is already this apartment and this town has already been geared up for the burn down. I saw the guy do it. I saw him drill the holes in the bottom of the telephone pole and put the igniters in there. And I'm not touching it. I'm not going down there, but I know so I got to get ready for a bug out. And yeah, so that's the name of this game. They've already burned down Maui, and they burned down Paradise in California, and Malibu, and Chile, and all these other parts of the world. They've been doing it. They're doing it, And so we've got to be ready. And the only guarantee in this world is really that we're gonna have a choice to go somewhere else. You know, and so time to gear up, time to get close to the Heavenly Father, the Great Spirit, and to and try to help save others. You can't be saved without helping to save others. That's another law maxim. Okay, so we'll be right back in a few minutes.
I'll take mine in gold and silver. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in southeastern Georgia and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantment, and nightmares. It's Money, Banking, and Trust by Moving Titles and Commerce, your solutions-oriented program on public policy, ZYA, BIC, UCC, 1099, OID, mortgages, and trusts with Christian Walters.
Money!
Well, does anybody really know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen? And does anybody really care? Of course you do. You're tuned in. And it's all because you're right here. Money Banking and Trust. Your host, Christian Walters, will be discussing a solutions-oriented program uncovering the hidden root causing all problems under public policy through functioning in commerce, whether out of court or in court, civil or criminal, with the intent of examining the tools available, gaining access to the remedy or solution, how to achieve standing, gaining rights, titles, and interest through claiming your straw man, transmitting utility, vessel on the high seas, total fool, a dupe, a poop, in order to address credit card debt, property foreclosures, IRS tax liens, traffic tickets, arrests, and payments of all bills through private credit using promissory notes, DYA, and BIC methods with UCC and IRS forms as enforcement, not to mention doing a special on trust and how to put that together. And you know why you need to know that, don't you? It's because we're here, ladies and gentlemen, telling it like it is. And here is where we bring you the most important information on the face of the entire earth or under the earth. Here is where each week we bring you the very best in radio broadcast listening, while we reveal the greatest secrets, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here, and the deeper mysteries of life. Yet the one question that will always remain will be this: can you handle the truth as it will be presented here tonight? Well, I'm the producer of therealpublicradio.net, Dezert-Owl, telling you that I don't know if you can handle the truth. I don't even know if you want the truth, but we're going to give it to you anyway, because that's the kind of people we are, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody's got to do it, and that's why we're here. So stand by for the broadcast coming up next. Oh, wait a minute. We got a question. We got a question for you. Trick question, okay? Are you a real American? Have you thought much about it? Do you want to be an American? You know, maybe if you know the real meaning of the word America, you won't want to do that. If it's a Toltec god Quetzalcoatl, a Meroku, the feathered serpent, one who wants to eat you alive, well, it could be. Well, no matter what, you still need to get the only real American magazine that covers the pure issues of law and defense and what's been going down in your backyard for a long time. It's in the air, it's in the water, it's in your mind, it's on the earth. It's not pretty, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. My sponsor now for 13 years, the Americans Bulletin newspaper. Thank you, editor and publisher, Robert Kelly. Did you get a copy? Well, if you didn't, then you need to go to the website, AmericansBulletin.com. That's Americans with an S, because there's more than one of you out there. AmericansBulletin.com, or call 541-779-7709. That's 541-779-7709. And thank you for your support. Tell Robert Kelly I sent you, because the time, it is short, and it's shorter than you think, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't think it's time, then just hang on, because it's the midnight hour. And it's what they didn't want you to know that we're telling right here, 7 days a week on therealpublicradio.net. Member supported, and that means you. Free America Radio Network. Did you tell your friends? Get on that phone right now. You still got time. Monet. Sounds like a painting. You were never in the race. Because you were drunk. Falling down flat on your face because you didn't give a damn. That's what I just said. That's okay, because you're sobering up, aren't you? Because you're tuned in right now, aren't you? Every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You want to know why? Just hang in there. Because we've got the scoop, we got the poop right now, ladies and gentlemen. You're waiting. Is now going to be fulfilled, because we are here. Bringing you Money Banking and Trust by Moving Titles and Commerce, your solutions-oriented program with your host, Christian Walters.
All right, and welcome back to Forbidden History Live, the series, ladies and gentlemen, on Ask Desert Owl and the Original Thought Transliteration Project. What they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. And that's okay, Maria, you're not crazy, they're crazy. You know what I mean, right? Come on. So that's right. It's a crazy world, and it appears to be crazy to want to care about things and want to know things, right? So unreal. And I just realized that I have to do one more thing on the Word document. I told you I was going to do something, and I don't want to leave it off now. So I'm going to go back to share. I got to do share screen, Ninja, and here we go. No, I don't need to talk about payloads. They can go there. All right, start sharing, and put that down, and then get the Word document up. Now I got to do that again. Geez. Can't get to that tray. So Word, come on up. All right, there we are. Let me know when we got it open, Ninja, and I'm gonna scroll. We're good. So I'm scrolling down. We got just enough room beyond the rotating helicopter. Push you out of the way. All right. So I told you that I was gonna show you how the alphabet has no beginning and no ending. Okay. And so based on the original alphabet, um, so the first two letters, as I pointed out, we did it over the last few days, up at the top, further up. Okay, it's the AV. Let's go with bigger letters here. That's 22. Okay, AV. And then we'll just pretend, the other letters inside, we won't have to type the alphabet, get one of the dictionaries, and I show you the whole alphabet. But we're just giving an illustration here of the alphabet. And so then at the end is the TZ. And so this is, I'll just type it here in the middle, the original alphabet. Okay. So this is the I want to do this, pump it down, the beginning, the ending. Okay. Okay. So what I realized was that that the AV, a prime root word, that if we wanted to turn the AV by itself, it means a star. Okay. So it says, but the word for star is correctly TZAR, you see? And so basically, then we end up with, you see, a total reversal. Did it wait? Oh, so no. Okay, well, that's the royal vowel, so that can be put in any time. But the star is a czar. But I was thinking of the just using the AV as it is. I was thinking one way because AV means a star, right? But the word is Zav, okay? And so the Zav, uh, again, it still means star, okay? It's another variable on that word, and so it means the power, like a way to transliterate the meaning of the lexicon of the symbols, is the power to save everywhere. So Zav is then no, I don't want to do that. Is it implies therefore, and we're talking about the alphabet. Remember that we're talking about the alphabet in this idea because this is the primary presentation that the alphabet is bringing to us. And so what does it mean? What does Zav mean? It means literally the power to SAVE, the power to save. Okay. So That's very powerful, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because these symbols that I'm talking about in the the original alphabet here is crucial to comprehending the theft that we have gone through. We have been robbed, and what we have been robbed from is the saving knowledge, right? Saving knowledge, and that's why all of this stuff up here that I'm sharing with you, you're reading a formula, and the formula is proving itself out that these are original forms, and that when you know how these original forms are used, then you can begin to read it just like you went to kindergarten and learned how to read Dick and Jane readers. Run, spot, run. See, puff, see, spot. They run together, and then you started reading bigger words and bigger books. And so we're trying to convey to you the essence of what we have been robbed from. So we've got the beginning and the end, and then we have here the end and the beginning. So the completion of the word is at the end. So if you make it to the end of the alphabet in the metaphor, you receive the power of the spirit. You become one. You become an owl. You can see things in the night when you make it through the alphabet, and that's a metaphor for comprehending the original thought, for comprehending the very symbols themselves, that they are words by themselves. And when you compound the symbols, you then have compounded thought and meaning going on. So this to me was a major revelation when I saw that that which is first is like that which is last. Let me type that in there. That's a good let me see here. Go down on that. Okay, we'll go here. That which is okay. Let me figure out how to do this here. Come on, gotta get a new mouse. We'll bump that down together here. Okay, that did it. I just have to, come on, mouse. So that's, what is that? That's a 12. I'll just make these all equal, okay? And that'll be good. I'll tell you when there's nobody talking on this thing, it's a deafening silence. Okay, so I'll go bigger on this now. Okay, I can go bigger. All right, so it's the maxim. That which is first is like that which is last, and that which is last is okay. So let me fix that again. Come on. I guess I will have to bump it again. A little more. There we go. Okay, so it's that we got that. Okay, so take note of that. And so it's truly profound that the Great Spirit, the Great Father, when he designs our communication code, that it literally loops, that the alphabet loops, because the ending is from the beginning, and the beginning goes back to the ending. The star, it begins with the star, it ends with the star. You got to get these pictures, ladies and gentlemen, because you see it every day up in the sky, but you never get the picture. That is 0 point. That is home. That is where the earth came from, out of that sun. The earth, the moon, Venus, Mars, all came out of that sun. We are children of the sun. It is our mother star. You know, I mean, it's just profound because they didn't teach this to us in school. We never looked at it that way, you know. And Sage is saying many memories coming back. How you blew my mind. Laughing out loud. Great show tonight, as always. Thank you, Sage. Sage, for about 3 years, was my co-host, helping to keep my radio network alive. I stopped doing my main broadcasting, and we did a weekend program on the Real Public Radio, and so she was my lifesaver. That was over 10 years ago, basically, and so she's here in Ohio, and we've got together a few times, and a great friend. Very grateful for Sage and our friendship. And so now we're going to and thank you again, Sage. Let's see here. I want to stop sharing. Okay, so we're going to now go to a read, and we'll be wrapping it up here real quick. Okay, we just about 15 minutes, I would say. Stop sharing. Okay. And yeah, well, you had good questions too, though, Sage. That was the thing. And I can never break her arm to do it with me again. You know, that was the real upshot of the whole story here. she's abandoned me for family. She's got so many grandbabies and you know, and offspring that she's the busy mother and grandmother. Okay, so here we are. What? We're yeah. Well, no, we're yeah. That's correct. Thank you. All right, and so now appropriately, because this just came up on my break, I mentioned heard that on the break, the Quetzalcoatl and Americu. There it is again. So we got twice we mentioned it, and now I just happen to have that definition right here in Gaskell. Let me turn on a little fan here. It's getting a little hot, and and so we're in the alphabet letter Q, and the definition is for Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, a symbol of the higher self, incarnated into the lower nature. Okay. And so the sorceries, I got to get a little more light. Hang on a minute. Get that. That. Okay, that'll work. All right. So a symbol of the higher self. Remember, there's nothing evil by itself in the idea of when we're talking about symbols, that people use symbols for evil intent and purposes, but by itself, you know, a symbol is not evil, and that's important to note. So a symbol of the higher self who incarnates in the lower nature. Let me take a sip. So by the sorceries of the Aztecs, the Aztec god Tezcatlipoca, Tezcatlipoca, he was driven from the land of Mexico in return to the fabled country of Taupalan, whence he had come, but he promised to return. Other accounts state that he cast himself upon the funeral pyre and was consumed, and that his heart ascended into the sky and became the morning star. Some authorities regard him as a sun god, and point to the circumstances of his returning to the east, his native home. Others regard him as a god of the air. He is, they say, connected with the cardinal points and wears the insignia of the cross, which symbolizes them. And non-classical mythology, page 142, and it's specifically talking about the Aryan race here, based on where you know, it's originating from here as well. By the law of the supreme, at the fall of man, the self Quetzalcoatl was obscured. So the feathered serpent is the self. So whereas I talk about just the serpent, they're talking about the feathered serpent in that metaphor. Okay, so the fall of man, the self, Quetzalcoatl, was obscured in the mind. That's Mexico, another metaphor. And he retreated, as it were, to the higher plane, Talipalan, but gave assurance of return to be born in the soul. Okay, so it's a savior story. And that's called the law of syzygy that Clement wrote about, that there were many false saviors in all these cultures. They were all savior cultures, sun god cultures, the idea of that. Not that, you know what I'm saying, that it's something to be worshipped, but it is a object of recognition for what it means as a sun, a solar disk. It's the symbol of life. It is the symbol of truth. It is the symbol of the pure word, which would be a shavor, at the eye at the royal center. Continuing, it is also said that the self became perfected as the archetypal Ashan, or man, sacrificing himself and giving over the divine essence, that's heart, to the next order, evolution, wherein it becomes the expression of truth, morning star. On the higher mental plane, that is, the potential causal body, heart, is established in the higher mind to guide the processes of evolution. And we're not talking about the other kind of evolution. This is of a higher evolution. The self, in parentheses here, sun god, because we have a soul, and soul is solar, and that's the sun. That's our processing unit on our shoulders. Our head is the soul. It is the sun, not the bottom of your feet. That's what they wanted you to walk on, was your soul when it's up on the top in your head. After being obscured in the lower mind, reappears in the soul, rising in the illumination of the eternal truth from the east. Again, it is said that the self is seated in the higher mind, that is air, above the lower quaternary cardinal points. In other words, he is crucified on the cross of matter, of the physical realm. The altar is the earth. See also air, ark, man, bird, children of Horus, countries, cross, crucifixion, Gnostic, death of Balder, of Osiris, dismemberment, east, evolution, exile, feather, heart, home, involution, morning star, plumes, Queb, Esinuf, I don't know what that is, quarters, sacrifices, serpent, sky, Tezcatlipoca. That's a mouthful. Okay, and so that's that definition of Quetzalcoatl and the feathered serpent. You can say you heard it here first, probably. And so let's put that over here, and then just a little bit out of the Aquarian Gospel, and this is the one that we can put that graphic up for the Aquarian, the original Gospel, misnomered as the Aquarian, because this is the book to get. If I can only keep one scripture, one book, that I can, and I couldn't have any other, then it would be the original Gospel, 182 chapters, ladies and gentlemen. If you had not read, then you just don't know what you are missing here. So apparently we're on chapter 5. We left off on chapter 5. And remember, you can get a PDF. I can get you a PDF for the asking by email. And let me take a sip again. My voice is just holding out enough for this. All right. And I want to thank everyone for hanging in there with us, for Sage and Maria, and who else we got up there? David. I don't know if David's still with us. He usually is good till the end. But yeah, very grateful. And for any new friends listening in, welcome. And we're attempting to do Monday through Friday. I'm hanging in there. So zapped for energy and zapped for this criminal cartel that's in on the game, and it's very frustrating at times to be in this world, I have to say. While other people have a party, they feel proud of themselves that they are involved in ruining the lives of other people every day of their life, apparently, that they're warmongers. And they proud themselves in waging all revolutions. That's what Albert Pike says. We wage all revolutions. So, okay, so you're engaged in making all the wars on the planet, and you're proud of yourself for that, right? For all the women and children and innocent people that are bludgeoned and destroyed because of your warfare class, huh? Banking agents, in other words. Okay, right. That's something to really be proud of. It's really a piracy, of course. They're pirates and they're mass murderers, but nonetheless, they feel very special, you know. So, chapter 5. Beyond the river Euphrates, the Magians lived, and they were wise, could read the language of the stars, and they. I better just qualify real quick where we're at for anybody new. So we're in section 2, the birth and infancy of John the Harbinger and of Yeshua. Okay, it's just qualified. So beyond the river Euphrates, the Magians lived. So these are the Magi, and they were wise, could read the message in the stars, and they divined that one mother star mind and soul was born, and they saw his star above Jerusalem, and there were three among the Magian priests, Konun, who longed to see the mother star of the coming age of golden light. And they took costly gifts and hurried to the west in search of him, the one of the many, the newborn royal Malachim, the king, and that they might honor him. See, and one took gold, the symbol of nobility. Another took myrrh, the symbol of dominion and of power. And Gumthus, the other one took, which would be frankincense, the symbol of the wisdom of the sage. Now, when the Magians reached Jerusalem, the people were astonished, and they wondered who they were and why they came. And when they asked, "Where is the offspring that has been born a royal Malachim, a king?" And the very throne of Herod seemed to shake. And Herod sent a courtier forth to bring the Magian to his court. And when they came, they asked again, "Where is the newborn royal Malachim, the king?" And then they breathed, "While yet beyond the Euphrates, we saw his star arise, and we have come to honor him, the one of the many." And Herod turned white with fear. He thought perhaps the priests are plotting to restore the kingdom of the Judean. And so he said within himself, "I will know more about this youth that has been born a royal Malachim king." And so he took the Magian priests to tarry in the city for a while, and he would tell them all about the royal Malachi king. He called the council into the council all the Judean mother stars, masters of the law, and asked, "What have the Judean star navigators, prophets, prophet, breathed concerning such a one?" And the Judean mother stars answered him and breathed. The star navigators, the prophet from long ago, foretold that one would come to rule the tribes of Israel, that this Moshiach would be born in Bethlehem, the first house of the many. They breathe. The prophet Micah wrote a true, perfect, and complete Bethlehem, Utah, a little place among the Judean, a little star among the Judean hills. Yet out of you does come forth to rule my faithful people, Israel, yeah, one who lives in ancient time in the very most ancient days and age. Then Herod called the Magian Konun priests again and told them what the mother stars, the masters of the Judean law, had breathed. And he sent them on their way to Bethlehem. And he said, "Go, search, and if you find the youth then that has been born a royal Malachai king, return and tell me everything, that I may also go and honor him." Now the Magian went their way and found the youth with Metzorem. That's Miriam. That's Mary. Metzorem, the original beautiful word, in the shepherd's home. They honored the one of the many, bestowed upon him precious gifts, and gave him gold and compass, frankincense, and myrrh. These Magian Konun priests could read the hearts of Eshan, the hearts of men. Men means criminal and sinner, that's why I don't use it. They read the wickedness of Herod's heart and knew that he had sworn to kill the newborn royal Malachai king. So they told the secret to the parents of the youth, and they bid them to flee beyond the reach of harm. And then the priest Konun went on their way home. But they did not go through Jerusalem, and Voleshafe, Joseph, took the infant Yeshua and his mother in the night and fled to Mitzrayim, Egypt land, and with Elihu and Shalome went and remained in ancient Zoan, and that is where they stayed. And when we let me see how much I have on the next side here, just to. Oh, it's the last chapter, but that's okay. We'll hold that. I know people have been hanging in there real well, and we'll pick it up. We'll pick it up tomorrow. I'm still trying to get my rhythm. Like I say, I'm just really challenged. You know, I want to do it every day, basically, and do Sunday, and at least 6 days a week. But oh, geez, you know. I'm feeling the pain in lots of different ways, and but the thing is, this reading, I'm doing it for myself at the same time. So for all of you and for myself, and for Ninja as well, she's needs all the fortification she can get, and she's producing here, and so I want to produce for her as well, my little sister, and down in Australia, and we're just all in the same boat, and it's tragic. We're all spread apart so far from each other, and we have to. It's an interesting time, you know, when we can have this communication right around light speed, right around the world, and be connected with each other, and and to share. And you know, my entire life, like Sage probably remembers my struggle to want to be able to produce these words in book form, and it was the greatest enigma. I didn't think I'd ever be able to publish a book. I struggled. I struggled. So you do it with, you know, you can't have a regular job and do this type of work, and then because if you do, you're not going to be able to you know, write anything. You're not going to be able to study anything. And so I you know, chose not to go back in a truck and do 600 miles a day, never go home, to be able to live in a gas station, or a Quonset hut in East Texas, or some you know, strange environment, to have very little or no rent to pay, and to get a phone, and do the work, and then just hit the books and keep reading and studying to be able to produce this. But literally, I'm absolutely blown away when I realized that since 1920, excuse me, 20, 2020, officially the first month, you know, I published the first book on that first month, and now have 30 books on the internet, and it's just because it took a lifetime of prep. But then when finally, you know, all the formula was right, I could knock it out, and so some of these, uh, I'm making history. You know, I'm literally making history with presenting the original thought aka the falsely called Indo-Germanic, because that's not the right term. Germanic means Jew, and Germanic means seed of the moon. That's an occultic word, and so belongs to the Babylonian Talmud. So it's an incorrect Indo-European. It's referred to as sometimes, but most correctly the Indo-Aryan, Indo-Aramaic, or Indo-Aryan Aramaic, maybe. But but this is historic, but it won't be in any university. They don't want it, just like they don't want the giant bones, all the giants that they find, anything that deviates from their narrative of our past. They destroy it. So this is not, that you're getting university stuff here, without having to pay your tuition. Get it? You pay your tuition at the door, your intuition, right? And instead you get to see some things and hear some things you're not going to get anywhere else. So I hope you'll take advantage of it. If you don't have the funny money to buy it, let me know and we'll get it to you on a PDF. Okay, no cost. And so just realize that if you want to, be able to see some things you've never seen before from the inside, you have to hear some things you've never heard before, and it's transforming, because it helps you to have a better perspective on how you've been lied to, and how deeper the original thought goes, and how it unfolds like a flower, and it has so many more variable meanings, And I just made history tonight showing you the alphabet. The original alphabet has no beginning, has no end. It's circular, you see, and that fits the maxim, of the Great Father and Yeshua, because he's from the beginning, but then we find him at the last, when he came 2,000 years ago, right? When he rose from the dead and he brought forth the final age of golden light, even though they occulted it with their darkness, right? So it's all a mystery, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. And I'm very grateful to be here. I intend to be here tomorrow. We will have a night off this week because Ninja has to take care of some personal matters. Okay, but in spite of that, we'll be looking for you every day and trying to make it a better world inside. We can't change what's happening out there, but we can change our world on the inside and change our bearing and our perspective based on the original thought. So don't forget, I'm Dezert-Owl telling you, if you want to know the future, then you simply need to look for the forbidden history, because it's all right here coming your way somewhere out there 7 days a week, because it's all recorded, and it's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Thank you, and we'll see you. Bye.
Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and the daffodils, catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflect in Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue. Morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain, are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free.
They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you. But still your love was true. And when no hope was left inside on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Starry, starry night, portraits hung in empty halls, frameless heads on nameless walls, with eyes that watch the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you've met, the ragged men in ragged clothes, a silver thorn, a bloody rose, lie crushed and broken on the virgin snow. Now I think I know what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still. Perhaps they never